God created the heavens and the earth. Right? Now read verse 2. We're already into verse 2. I can't believe it. It's only been 3 weeks. Now we read this. Now this is very interesting. The earth was without form and void, and darkness was upon the face of the deep, and the Spirit of God was moving over the face of the waters. So in Genesis verse 2, we find that the earth is formless, and what is void? Empty. Nothing. There was nothing there. Formless and empty.
Is it a round plant?
Yes. But it's formless and empty. This is chapter 1, verse 2. And the Spirit of God is hovering over the face of the waters. Now, verse 3, what does it say?
And God said, let there be light.
And
Let there be light.
he said, let there be light, and what happened?
There was light.
And that was?
There was light.
Sun.
No, what was it?
Light.
What day was this? The first day. God said, let there be light, and there was light. God saw that the light was good, and he separated the light from darkness. God called the light day, and the darkness he called night. And there was evening, and there was morning. One day. Okay? So, Genesis 1:3 all the way to 2:2 is answering the question of chapter 1, verse 2. If everything is formless and void, then God's got to do something about it. And so what he does on the first 3 days of creation is create order or form. It's formless and void, so we're going to give it form. Thank you. That's why I decided to switch to this. So what happens on day 1? Light from darkness. God separates light from darkness. Well, that's a beginning, right? Now we have darkness over here, we have light over here, we have some order. Okay?
How did you get yellow?
I just went like that and tapped it, and I said, let there be yellow, and there was. Now, day 2, what happens? Verse 6 through 8, what do they say?
And God said that there would be a firmament in the midst of the waters, and that it separate the waters from the waters.
Separate waters from waters. Okay? So, what do we have here? We have the sky, clouds, and we have the sea. We have the sky separate from the sea. Evening came and morning came. Day 2. So now we have a distinction between the sea and the sky. What are we doing? We're putting form on the formlessness of the world. Remember, in the beginning it was just formless. There was nothing. And there's nothing anything. Right? Now what are we doing? We're having form. We're making distinctions. Light, darkness, sea, sky. Day 3, what happens? Land and vegetation occurs.
Anita told me.
Let me see if I can draw this. Let me do that. Okay, so we no fruit? Well, no, there would be fruit on the tree. Sorry about that.
Looks like Hawaii.
Yes. Put some coconuts on the tree there.
So tropical.
And let's have some flowers. I'll put some tulips. There we go.
Tulips in Hawaii.
Tulips in Hawaii, why not? So what have we done now?
Dry land.
Now we have the ocean, we have the sea, and we have the land, right? So you see what's happening in creation? We're separating things. We're making distinctions. Light from darkness, sky from sea, land from sea. So now we have all this form, but is there anything in the heavens? No. Is there anything flying in the sky? No. Is there anything swimming in the oceans? No. Is there anything moving on the land? No. No. So everything is still
Formless.
We have form, but what do we have? It's empty. There's nothing in there. Well, don't worry your pretty little heads. Now we're going to fill all of these spaces with things. Right? So what's the first thing that we're going to do? Well, we have all this sky. Let's fill it with the sun, the moon, and the stars. Only a paper moon. And notice what God says on day 4 that's different than on days 1 through 3. Verse 14. Let there be lights in the firmament of the heavens to separate the day from the night. See, we've already separated light from darkness, but now we need things to separate the days from the night. And let them be for signs and for seasons and for days and years. So the purpose of the sun, the moon, and the stars is what?
For the season.
Time tracking. When we go around the sun once, what do we call it?
Day.
A year.
Are you?
Yeah.
65.
When the moon starts out full, goes into darkness, and comes back again full, how much time has passed? A month. A moon. That's where we get the word month from. It's a month period. It's one period or one cycle of the moon. See, in ancient times, people didn't have these boxes where you watch shows like Cheers on all the time. You know, people actually went outside, they looked at nature, and one of the things that they observed were things like, oh, the moon, it changes as it goes through it has a cycle. It starts out full, you see a big, beautiful moon, and then it becomes a crescent, goes half and crescent, then it disappears. For like 3 days, you don't have a moon. And then it slivers back and it gets bigger, bigger, brighter, brighter, full moon. And you know how long that takes? About 30 days. And you know, when that happens 12 times, we seem to be in the same season that we started with. What do we call that? 12 moon cycles. A year. Now, not only that, but if you looked up into the sky, you would notice that stars are in, the patterns are the same every year at this time, but they change. Some stars are always there, just in a different position, but they're always there, like the Big Dipper. It seems to go like this, around a mysterious spot that doesn't move. But other stars seem to come and go during the years, like Scorpio and Aries and Libra and Capricorn. And you get what I'm talking about? Yes, the beginnings of astrology and all of this was mapping out the motions of these stars. Then there are these really weird stars. They seem to have a mind of their own. They don't obey the rest of the stars. They seem to go like this. They kind of zigzag in the sky. They seem to wander. These wandering stars in Greek are planetos. Planetos. Which we call planets. And since they have a mind of their own, they're probably more powerful than the stars that are just sort of on their own track. So we'll name them Jupiter and Mars. And the very quick one we'll name Mercury. And the very beautiful one we'll name Venus, because she appears in the morning and she's the most beautiful star of the day. And the very slow-moving one we'll call Saturn. All of our planets are named after gods, because they seem to have a mind of their own. Now that's a superstitious way of looking at them, clearly, but it's not that far off of what their intents were. Do you see what I'm saying? The reason why God made the sun, the moon, and the stars was so that we could track time. When we get to the feasts and festivals of Israel, they're all related to the moon cycle. All of them. All of them. This is why Easter is always on a different day of the year, because it has to do with what? How do we define Easter?
The
First Sunday after the first full moon after the first day of spring. That happens to, not the Sunday, but that happens to be the same way that you calculate when Passover is. It's the first full moon after the first day of spring. Okay? And since the Last Supper was when Jesus instituted the Mass, that's why Easter is always different, because we follow a Jewish cycle of celebrations. And Passover is a lunar festival. If you ever wondered why this, you see, it goes all the way back here. Why do we celebrate Easter? Because back in Genesis 1:14, God created the sun, the moon, and the stars to tell the time. And Easter is defined as the first Sunday after the first full moon after the first day of spring. So we need to know when the first day of spring is, and then when the first full moon will be. It all comes back to Genesis. It really is wild that way. It all comes back to the beginning. So the sun, the moon, and the stars fill the void of the light and the darkness. So before, when we just had indiscriminate light and darkness, now we have something to fill in the gap. Well, we have sea and sky. What are we going to fill them up with?
Birds.
Like what?
Fish and the birds.
And the bird.
And the birds. So there's a couple of flying birds. I'll put the sun up here so you can tell that they're flying. And then under the water, we have a really bad drawn fish. So I can change that. Let's try it again. That looks like a bow tie now. For goodness sake, I can't draw. I'm a doctor, not an artist. There we go. That's a little bit more fish-like. There we go. We can put a shark up here. About to eat this other fish. See that? Fish. Right? And then maybe I'll even draw a little octopus here. There we go. God made the octopuses too, you know. Okay? So once again, in the beginning, the earth was without form and void. We could easily say it was formless and empty. So what does God do in the 6 days of creation? Give it form and fill it. He gives it form and then he fills it up. And of course, God only creates one kind of fish, guppies. One kind of birds, pigeons. Right?
No.
No, what does he do?
Different kinds.
Tons of variety. Peacocks, toucans, parrots, hummingbirds, crows,
Ravens.
seagulls, canaries, finches, sparrows, vultures, eagles,